afternoon, students. Today we will deal with Marchantia. First, we will deal with the classification of Marchantia. Now, it belongs to division Bryophyta, class Hepaticopsida, order Marchantius, family Marchantiaceae, and genus is Marchantia, and the most commonly studied species it is Marchantia polymorpha. That means the species is polymorpha. Now, if you've gone through details, the genus Marchantia, it is about having 65 species found in all parts of the world. The species grow best in cool, moist and shady places. Marchantia polymorpha grows as a pioneer in the burnt soil of the forest after fire. The genus is represented in India by some about 11 species growing mainly in the western Himalayas. Marchantia polymorpha is the most widely distributed species and it occurs in the altitude about 2500 to 5000 meters on moist river banks and rocks. Marchantia palmata occurs in Kashmir, Kumau, South India, Bengal and Assam. Marchantia simlana in Himachal Pradesh and Marchantia nepalensis is common in the plains of Punjab and in Garhwal and Kumaon hills. Marchantia nepalensis and Marchantia simlana are exotic to India. Now, if you study, now we will study the external structure of Marchantia, or in that we will see the plant body of Marchantia. Now Marchantia, it is cosmopolitan in distribution, growing on moist rock and soil. The gametophyte of Marchantia is prostrate, dorsoventrally flattened and dichotomously branched. A distinct midrib is present in each branch of the thallus. Now you will see that there is a prominent midrib. It is present on the dorsal side of the thallus. And you can observe it by means of a shallow groove. Many polygonal or rhomboidal areas which demarcate the outline of underlying air chambers. You will see that there are minute pores or openings which are nothing but the air chambers. Each polygonal area has a pore on its center through which the air chamber is connected with the external environment. The dorsal surface of the thallus bears gyma cups along the midrib. They are crescent-shaped structure with smooth spiny or fimbricate margins. Now you will see that the gyma cup, there is a cup-like structure. They are commonly called as gyma cup, and they are having spiny or fimbricate margins. The gyma cups bears gymi, which helps in vegetative propagation. That means after maturation, the gymi will detach from gymi. The gyma bodies will be detached, and which will be helpful for the vegetative propagation. Each branch of the thallus grows indefinitely by means of a growing point situated at the apex of the thallus in a groove called as apical notch. That means at the upper side you will see the apical notch, and in that apical notches the gyma cup will be there. The ventral surface of the thallus bears rhizoids and scales on both sides of the midrib. The rhizoids are usually colorless and unicellular. Now in angiosperm you will see that there are the roots which performs the absorption of water and minerals from the soil. In the same way, here instead of roots, the rhizoids and scales, they are present, which perform the same function as that of roots. Now the rhizoids are usually colorless and unicellular. Now it is of two types, smooth walled and tuberculate. Besides fixing the thallus to the substratum, they also absorb water and nutrients. And the function of absorption is mainly performed by tuberculate rhizoids. The scales are multicellular and one cell in thickness. They are usually violet in color due to the presence of anthocyanin pigments in the cytoplasm. The scales are arranged in two rows on either side of the midrib, but in Marchantia polymorpha there are 3 or 4 rows on either side of the midrib. The scales in Marchantia are of two types. Now first is appendiculate. These are characterized by the presence of an apical subrotund appendage. They are usually form the inner row of the scales close to the midrib, and second type it is the ligulate scale, and these are the relatively small and do not have any appendage. They form the outer row. The primary function of scale is to protect the growing point. Besides, they also retain some water by capillary actions. The sexually mature thalli possesses specialized erect branches, the gametophores, which bears sex organs. These branches arise from the growing apex situated in the apical notch. The branches present on the male thalli bears antheridia and are known as antheridophores, whereas those present on the female thalli bear archegonia and are called as archegoniophores. Now we will see the internal structure of the thallus. A cross section of the thallus show three distinct regions. First, epidermal region, second, photosynthetic region, and third is storage region. Now first, that is epidermal region. It includes upper and lower epidermis. The upper or dorsal epidermis forms a protective covering above the photosynthetic region. It is interrupted by means of barrel-shaped structure called as air pores that open internally into the air chambers. Now you will say that there are pores, they are barrel-shaped structure. Each pore is usually surrounded by means of 4 to 8 superimposed tiers of cells, and each tier cells consist of rings of 4 to 5 cells. Now here you will see that these air chambers or air pores, they are surrounded by means of 4 to 8 layers of cells. They are superimposed to each other and they are forming a ring of cells. The lowermost layer of the storage region forms the lower epidermis. The cells of the lower epidermis gives rise to rhizoids and scale. Now next to it is the second region, it is the photosynthetic region. The upper epidermis is followed by a large number of air chambers. Now these chambers develop and they are separated from each other by a single layer cell called as partition wall, made up of 4 to 6 chloroplasts containing thin walled cells. The air chambers are usually uniform in shape and are arranged in a single horizontal row. Many simple or branch photosynthetic filaments arises from the floor of each chamber. The filaments are composed of chloroplasts containing cells. Now next to this, it is the last region. It is also called as storage region. It lies immediately below the photosynthetic region as a compact zone of several layers of polygonal parenchymatous cells. It is made up of parenchymatous cells. The storage region is thick in the center and gradually tapers towards the margin. Now you will see that the cells of the storage region, they are thick in the centers. The cells of these regions are divides of chloroplast and do not have intercellular spaces in between them. Most of the storage region cell contains starch or protein granules, and some mucilage and oil containing cells, they are also present. The cells of the midrib region are tangentially elongated and have reticulate thinnings. In this way we have seen the internal structure of the thallus of Marchantia.